Now, you know that moment when you hear a particular accent in a movie and your brain instantly switches to, here comes the villain. Or when they mention an African country and you brace yourself, knowing that the narrative that they're about to push is not a very good one. You see, His Majesty is quite the storyteller, and every time we watch movies, he's able to predict the end right from the beginning. And that's the power of storytelling. Now, I want to flip the script. Think about the city that pops to mind when I say romance, or countries that you associate with first-rate education or excellent healthcare. We all have clear mental images, don't we? Yeah. Now, certain industries in certain countries, through the power of storytelling, have repeatedly painted vivid pictures in our minds. And the byproduct of those stories, they're shaping our subconscious perception of the countries and their citizens. People flock to the latter countries that I described, spending millions of their hard-earned money, sending their children to school for education, or paying an arm and a leg for healthcare, or even just going to experience what they've imagined and seen through stories in these other countries. But on the other hand, we try to avoid the first set of countries that I mentioned earlier. That's why sometimes it's frustrating to see the same tired narratives about Africa being recycled in our media, as if we're nothing more than our challenges, as if we lack the creativity and the skills to propel our own continent forward. Yes, we have issues, but show me a continent that doesn't. We are more than our issues. For decades, the world has turned to certain types of development agencies to predict and chart the course of Africa, and to the Western media, who aren't even based here, to define who and what Africa is. But they barely scratch the surface, you can't blame them, of what truly Africa is. However, their narratives perpetually infiltrate our very sense of self, both at home and abroad. When you work so closely with everyday people like I do at a community level, you come to see the pure gold in our people. Our people are resilient. Can we please give a hand to ourselves? Our people are innovative. Our people are joyful. Our people are light. And this is the Africa that we see. Our people are light. Some of that light is already shining brightly on the world stage. We just came back from London and a few cities abroad, and throughout every city, I would guarantee you that I can hear Afrobeats jamming through the shops and the restaurants. Everybody's nodding their head. So some of the light is already shining brightly, but yet there is more light to be uncovered, waiting to be uncovered. On the continent, right here, right now, we have brilliant minds and incredible stories that are yearning for someone to take a chance on them. And this is where Elevate Africa comes in. Now, I want to address the proverbial elephant in the room. I know most of you will say, why Elevate Africa? Why not Elevate Nigeria? You see, with the surge of globalization and the world becoming more and more a global village, the traditional ideology of nationhood does not quite serve us when it comes to development anymore. It's becoming less and less pragmatic for one nation to say they want to grow and develop by themselves. Nations need nations to thrive. We see this because China, for example, is depending on raw materials from the Democratic Republic of Congo to make their economies work. And so is Switzerland, depending on raw materials from Ivory Coast to make sure that they sell those nice chocolate bars we buy at the airport every time. Nations need nations to thrive. One nation cannot thrive alone. Elevate Africa is Pan-African because history has shown us that our divisions are our downfall. Nigeria is the first chapter, and I say this biasly, in Africa's book, But to limit this project to one nation is to limit our horizons. We want to elevate not a country, but we want to elevate a people. We want to elevate a people not bound by the commonwealth of their problems. We want to elevate a people that are bound by potential and are bound by their shared destinies. And so in Elevate Africa, we want to crowdsource ideas. We want to fund solutions. We want to showcase Africa's brilliance to the world. For years, we've been itching to do something to change the narrative about Africa, but we didn't just wait around. We started right in our communities and we scaled up. And the moments where we find hidden gems, like the 24-year-old visually impaired Peace Ogenetejiro, a tech innovator who came up with a tech solution to help blind people read ebooks. Those moments are electric. And they don't only change the lives of those directly affected by them, they change the lives of the communities around them. And so through the work we do, it became more obvious that we needed and we still need dedicated homegrown spaces across Africa and its diaspora to incubate ideas, to prefer solutions to our regional shared problems, and to tell our stories. We need to tell our stories. Not just the stories of African outliers and unicorns, but everyday innovators like Peace Ogenetejiro making a difference. Elevate Africa, like you've heard being said on this stage already, is not a mission. No, it's not a movement. That's too whimsical. Elevate Africa is a mandate. It is a call to action to do exactly that, to elevate Africa. It is time for us to elevate our solutions and begin to reclaim our narratives and our stories. It is time for Africans to show the world just how innovative and how unstoppable we are, not in America, but here in Africa. Our organizations, like Daniel said, stands on 3 transformative pillars: our convenings, our fellowships, and the media. All 3 will work together to promote African solutions to African problems. Our convenings, such as this, will gather the brightest minds from across the continent and its diaspora: government leaders, CEOs, community builders, tech innovators, social change makers. And please understand that we are not chasing titles, we are chasing impact, right? And so we want leaders that are making impact in their various spheres, because our focus is not only on great ideas, but on greater actions. So this isn't just another dialogue that's happening here today. Our convening is a breeding ground for solutions. From our convenings, we will funnel these ideas into actions through our fellowship, which will be launched here today as well. In our fellowship, we seek to nurture minds who understand Africa's unique challenges and have the skill set to address them. For too long, the world has relied on foreign agencies to speak for us. We need our own institutions, producing impactful work through research and books and documentaries, advocating for our change where it matters. Through our fellowships, we are incubating brilliance. And so if you know any mid-career professionals who want to contribute, please tell them that Africa is waiting for them. Finally, through Elevate Africa Media, we are rewriting the narrative. For too long, the world has shaped its view of Africa through a narrow lens, ignoring our complex and rich realities. Through diverse platforms, we seek to tell the authentic African story, those solving problems across the continent. These stories, we hope, will restore our sense of identity. These stories, we hope, will evangelize our high population youth to not only celebrate Africa, but believe in Africa again. In years to come, it is our hope that the solutions and the stories from our 3 agencies will make life much more prosperous for Africans everywhere. It is our hope that a boy in Ethiopia will know that without a doubt, he's just as valued and just as worthy as his counterpart in any global city. A researcher in Chad will have access to the tools to do groundbreaking work, and we're here to do our part in making it a reality. To be clear, we are not here to compete with any established organizations. No, we're here to collaborate, and we're here to amplify the work that is already being done within Africa. Africa is a giant waiting to be awakened. Imagine what could happen in your sector, in any industry, when we all here tap into and invest ourselves in the brilliance that is already here. Think about the richness of Africans' minds. Think about the innovations to be harnessed. Think about the potentials to be actualized. We have so much to offer that will solve our issues in education, in gender equality, economic growth, and decent work, and climate action. Our job is just to create the right conditions to make it happen by telling the right stories. Because when people begin to see what is possible through hearing it, they begin to understand, and it triggers a reaction. You've heard it say that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, then it will take all of us in this room and beyond to raise our continent to her destined greatness. I invite you all today to join us as we invest in African ideas, as we invest in African solutions, and as we invest in African stories. Together, unstoppably, we will create the Africa we see. We will build Africa into who she was always meant to be, a giant among the League of Nations. God bless the Warri Kingdom, God bless Nigeria, and God bless Africa. Thank you all so much for listening to me.